You clicked on this video because there is a certain reality that you want to manifest in your life. You want to move away from your current situation into something which is more powerful, more fulfilling and better, but you don't know how to. Well, in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can transcend your current lived experience into that which you desire. And it all starts with a map, the map of consciousness. So let's take a look here. It looks a little bit daunting to begin with, but what this will offer you is everything you need to be able to move out of your current state of being into that which you want. So if you want a better situation, more money, a better partner, a happier existence, this map gives you the tools that you need to be able to achieve that. So what is the map? Let me explain it to you. The map is a followable guide that instructs the reader on their states of being, allowing them to get a clear view on how different energetic states alter one's reality, energy potential, and perception on life. Now, I know that sounds a little bit daunting, but trust me, as you get into this video, it's going to become crystal clear. So the x-axis is laden with columns that detail what consciousness is like along each state. Each column is going to give you an insight into different aspects of a particular consciousness level, and the rows depict the full scope of each level. The y-axis details the paradigms in which each level can be placed into. So we can think of a paradigm as like your particular worldview, the way that you see things. As an example, fear falls within the survival paradigm, as it is going to typically crop up in moments of your life where you are in a state of desperation, where you're worried, and when times are hard. Okay, so we can take a look at the x-axis. We've got the name and level, energetic log, predominant emotional state, view of life, God view, process. Then we've got the spiritual paradigm, the reason and integrity paradigm, and then the survival paradigm. As we're going to go more into it, it's going to become a lot clearer. But all I'm saying is that you are probably operating from the survival paradigm, and that is why you're not getting the life that you are looking for. So let me give you a few examples to make this a little bit easier for you to understand. So we're simply going to start with shame because it's at the lowest the lowest on the map. Shame being the name of the level. Shame has an energetic log of 20. It is the energetic log. Basically, the energetic log outlines the energetic effectiveness of being within this state. So the number of the energetic log corresponds to how much this level is capable of achieving. So one that has a higher energetic log is going to be naturally more powerful of an emotion. So obviously we can feel it as like an emotion. And when you feel shame, you are going to be less capable than if you were willing. You are going to be less capable if you're prideful than if you were loving. Okay? Your capabilities as a being are dictated by the energy level that you have. Okay, the energy level that you manifest within your current reality, and your energy levels are determined by the level of consciousness that you end up into. So if you're constantly in a state of shame and guilt, that's these energy logs are the amount that you're capable of running off of. So shame carries with it the lowest level of energy, besides that of death, which is obviously 0, because if you're dead you don't have any energy. The reason for this is explained by the rest of the x-axis. So the x-axis being along this way. So you can look at that, you can look at the name and be like, okay, I'm on a level of shame. Okay, that's how much energy I've got. These aspects here explain to you what reality is going to be like for you. So, the reason for this is explained by the x-axis, as I've just said. The predominant emotional state of someone who's in shame is being that of humiliation. So, when you as an individual are humiliated, you feel smaller. You feel like you're lesser than, as if it would be better that you were to have never existed. So, perhaps, I'll give you an example. I used to watch a lot of porn when I was in my teenage years and, you know, at the beginning of my early 20s. And I got to the point where I had watched porn for so long that I ended up watching some really questionable stuff that I wouldn't even consider now. I'm celibate at this point now, so I'm far away from that. But there were times where I'd finish and I'd just be looking at what I'm consuming on the screen, and I'd feel awful, and I'd get this pit inside me, and I would feel small and I'd feel weak. And perhaps this is an instance for you. Perhaps you've, masturbated to some questionable stuff, or you've done stuff that's made you feel shameful. And then you feel the sense of humiliation. And then as a result of that, this makes your view of life feel miserable. Something is wrong with it. And now, after that, we have the God view, which for you atheists, if you don't believe in God, you can substitute for your worldview, okay? So your God view or your worldview is something which is despising of you. The world despises you. God despises you when you're in a state of shame. As a result of that, this is then going to lead to the process. So we can define the process as the physical manifestation of the level. And the physical manifestation of shame being that of elimination. And elimination is going to be typically seen as elimination of the self. So of you. It's going to be manifested as avoidance, separation, and segregation. So whenever someone feels shame, like you have in the past, like a kid, when a kid feels shameful, they're going to seek to hide themselves. A perfect example of shame is someone hiding their genitals when they're naked. People being ashamed of their body has this kind of energy. It's very low frequency. When you're shameful, it makes you feel like something is wrong with you. And this is why it has very little energy, because it's the lowest form of viewing the self. Okay? These things can explain everything. So obviously just pause the screen if you need to. Just take a look at it, because when you understand all of this, you really get a glimpse into how your reality can be changed simply from the level in which you operate from. So we can take a look at another one, because this is probably one that's going to really hit home. We can look at desire. So desire has an energy log of 125. So we can actually see that this has a lot more energy potential than shame, which can easily be explained. When you desire something, you are in a state of craving, meaning you are going to go after that thing that you want. And as a result of this craving, we actually find ourselves in a constant state of wanting something. More money, a better job, a nicer car, more holidays, nicer clothes, more attention on social media. This, as a result, is going to make you impatient, or it's going to make you greedy. And as a result of this impatience or this greed, it's going to lead to a worldview of life which is disappointing. And the reason for this is because you either end up not getting that which you want, or when you do get that which you want, you're not satisfied. And this can be explained by hedonic adaptation. So hedonic adaptation basically explains, for example, you've got a new pair of shoes. You just ordered them online. You're sick. I actually had this back in the day, right? There was a big whole, like the hype beast phase with like Off-White and Bape and Supreme, right? I used to get this a lot, where I'd order a brand new piece of clothing, and I'd be so hyped on the day I've got it. I'm waiting for it to turn up. It's now turned up at the door. I'm so gassed for like a few weeks to a month, but then a month's passed, and then it no longer holds that same value. This is what desire does. It keeps you constantly hungry. It never quite feeds you. You're always in a state of, once I've got this, then I'll be happy. You see it all the time. Once I earn this much, then I'll be happy. Like with the gym. Once I've got this much muscle, then I'll be happy. Once I've got a girlfriend, then I'll be happy. You're always moving the goalposts. And desire keeps you in a state where you're constantly hungry. And as a result of this leads you to having a God view or a world view as something which is denying. When you never get what you want, it makes you, it changes your perception. It's almost as if like God isn't allowing you to get what you want. As if you deserve these things, or if you're entitled to these things which you so covet. So when it comes to desire, us as individuals, us as guys, we often think of people as outwardly desiring things, like them girls in like Hollywood and whatnot, and they're very externally entitled. It's like, oh, I should be owed this, you owe me this, that, and the other. And guys are like that, and they feel like you owe them respect no matter what, right? This, however, isn't necessarily a massively external thing, as we can probably promote or testify. It's something that's actually very easily snuck up on people, and I'll explain this. It's something that manifests internally. So you might find yourself, perhaps this is you at the moment, you're feeling frustrated about life. You know, you find yourself getting annoyed, you're pissed off, you're impatient because you want, you know, you hear guys say it all the time, just be patient, man, it'll happen. But you do find yourself getting a little bit pissed off from time to time because you want things to change. Now, this is because what you want isn't happening to you just yet. And it hasn't come to you yet. And the reason why you feel these feelings is because the root of everything is from your desire for things to change, your desire for things to be different. So this, then as a result, results in the physical manifestation of desire being enslavement. So, this is really easy to explain. When you are in a state of desiring something, anything, money, fame, women, status, doesn't matter, you actually become a slave to that thing. This is why guys get so caught up in the whole money-making thing. Money's important, but when do you stop, right? When do you step off the treadmill? You become a slave to that which you are after in the hopes that it will free you. This obviously can be seen as greed at times. You keep chasing and you keep chasing, but never are you set free from this loop. And you are held captive by the things that you want. This is probably you. You still don't have the things that you want, but you're craving that you'll get them. And you're thinking that they'll set you free, but by the time you get them, that you want something new. You're stuck. So, I've rambled on for the past 12 minutes, or the past 10 minutes. Why does this map actually matter? The reason why this map matters is, we can take a look here. It's because of the energetic log. We can see that as we slowly move up the map, we can move that a little bit. As we move up the map, our energy level increases. So, the more, if we can get ourselves to be higher on the map, our potential for doing things is going to be so much more significant. It's going to be so much greater. But there's something nuanced that I think you're going to find really interesting, right? Naturally, as humans, we look at this and we see a linear increase in the numbers. So, for example, we can go from shame to guilt. You see that as a plus 10. It's a plus 10 increase, right? And you'll go from fear to courage. From 100 to 200, you see that as double. You know, you're going to see this as an equal increment up. You know, it's 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, you know, 50, 60. That's how you see it, as a little bit more. So naturally, you're going to see the higher ones as more powerful. So you'd see love as 5 times more powerful than fear in this instance. However, this is the kicker. This scale actually doesn't run off a linear increase. Energy like that isn't linear. What it runs off is something which we call a logarithmic increase. So instead of, let's say, plus 10, it's actually multiplied by 10. So shame, 10 to the power of 1. So when it's something to the power of, it's multiplied by itself. So guilt, 10 to the power of 2, would be 10 times 10. Fear would be 10 to the power of 4. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. You know, power of 6, power of 7. I've moved that around, that's really annoying. But you can see what I'm talking about here. As each one goes up, it's not just merely like 100 more. It's significantly more. It's significantly more. As you climb up, you become so much more powerful. The jump from pride to courage isn't just plus 25. It's a significant amount more. So let me put this out numerically for you to be able to understand. It's shame, 10. Guilt, 100. Apathy, 1,000. Fear, 10,000. Courage, 100,000. Willingness, 1,000,000. Reason, 10 million. Love, 100 million. Peace, 1 billion. Obviously, these aren't scientifically accurate, right? But this just gives you a representation and an understanding of the powerful increases that come from having a better energy level. So everything that you do in your life, absolutely everything, flows from the energy level that you have. And it's similar to when people say, your life becomes how the way you view it. Your life becomes what you think of it. So if you're going to view life as something that's awful, that's arduous, that's long, that's boring, that's suffering, life is going to become those very things. But if you view life as something which is an opportunity, that's excitable, that's something you can go out and you can explore, life is going to become that. So, the problem that you are currently facing, the problem why your life is the way it is right now, is that everything that you are doing is operating from these lower energy states. And this is the reason why you aren't making progress. So, in your instance, you are mainly operating out of fear and desire. Look, 100 and 125, if we look here, you're not really getting that much energy compared to these higher energy ones. It's compounding and it's significant. And this is why you feel stuck, because you haven't got much behind you backing you. So in your instance, you fear what the future is going to be like. In instances where you're not overstimulated, when you have a moment by yourself, you become anxious over things staying the same. You have that nagging voice in your head that you're never going to get a girlfriend, that you're always going to be stuck in your current position, that you'll never increase your income, that no one's ever going to like you, that you're always going to be this guy forever, and that nothing will change. You're anxious and you're worried, but also equally, you're in a state of desire. You want more. You crave a better life. You want an improved set of circumstances. You no longer want to be in your current situation. You want to have more attention from women. You want guys to respect you. You want to have more status. You want to have nice things. But these very feelings are actually the reason that you are still staying stuck and the reason why you're not moving forward. It is because you are actually operating out of a selfish paradigm. You're only focusing on yourself. So let's pay attention here. Let's look back on the screen. Don't look at me. We can look at, all these ones, all these names, all these energy logs, right? These are low energy states. You're in a survival paradigm where you're constantly in strife. You're just like you're constantly fighting. Let's have a look. Scorn, hate, disappointing, denying, disdainful, despondency, evil, vindictive. What the survival paradigm and these low energy states point to is a victim mindset. Your problem, without realizing it, is that you're a fucking victim. And the reason why your life is not changing is because you have not moved into the higher energy states, which make you realize and accept that your life is in your hands. You may somewhat say, sometimes you'll be in a state of acceptance where you'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, when you have motivation. But the majority of the time, the time in your life, and the reason why you're not moving forward is because you have a victim mindset. You're in these lower energy levels where you're feeling like the world is happening to you rather than you going and happening to the world. You are focusing way too much on yourself and what you want from life. And because of that selfish desire, you are actually going to repel the things that you want in life. So I want you to think of it like attracting a woman. You've had instances in the past where there's a girl that you really like and you've got the fattest crush on her at the moment and you're messaging her on Instagram or Snapchat, or maybe you've got a number, right? You are kind of obsessed with her. You're thinking about her all the time and you're giving her so much energy. But what happens? She fucks off for another guy that doesn't like her as much. You were prepared to give her everything, but she didn't want you. Why is this? It's because you tried too much. You put too much energy forward and you chased. Whereas you've had girls in the past that haven't really, you don't really care about them. You haven't put much effort into them. But you know what's happened? They've stuck around because you haven't had this chasey, needy energy. You haven't repelled her because you're not going after her. You're going after other things. The girls that you actually that stick around for some reason are the girls that you would rather, that you'd sack off to go play on the PlayStation. They're the girls that you sack off to go hang out with the boys. But the girls that you ended up not getting are the ones that you would have dropped everything for. Do you see what I'm getting at here? You need to, if you want to change your life, you need to stop living life going after what you want. The more that you go after what you want, the more it's going to run away. Just like these women that you liked. Because doing so is actually going to keep you in the low energy fields. So you need to really remember, get this drilled into your head, the power increases. It's not just linear. It's massively exponential. Like, even if we get yourself to courage, 100,000 in contrast to 10, that's a massive jump. Like, if you looked at it normally, you'd be like, 20 to 200. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. That's a 10 times increase. No, that's not a 10 times increase. If my math is good, that's an 1,000 times increase. Right? Is that 1,000 times increase? No, it's a 10,000 times increase from that. It's massive. You've got so much more that you can work with. Courage is going up to that girl that you see in the gym all the time and talking to her when you're terrified. Courage is when you start that business that you've been mulling over. Courage is posting on social media even when you're afraid people are going to mock you. Courage is switching to something that you're uncertain about. Courage is taking a risk. And at the moment you've been playing it safe because you're stuck in these fear and desire paradigms which don't have much energy. The moment you move up to courage, this is why there's this red line here. This red line here on the map, let me zoom in for you. Bruv. This red line here on the map separates the survival paradigm and the reason and integrity paradigm. The reason for this is because the moment you step into courage, you enable yourself to be able to actually have these higher energy logs, and it squanders and it squashes the survival paradigm energies. So let's go back down. So if you can transcend the lower levels, you enable yourself to become a lot more powerful, therefore making it easier for you to attract the abundance that you're wanting to manifest into your life. So the things that you want in life, a nice house, a dream car, freedom, options in dating, the perfect wife, respect, dream job, etc. All these things, believe it or not, are actually byproducts of the higher levels. So when you focus on being courageous and you're willing in life, you act off of reason, love and peace, these things naturally come towards you because you're not focusing on yourself, because you have all this, you have this more energy, so you're able to give more, and the more you give, it's reciprocity. The more you give to the world and to the universe, the more you get from it. But if you're constantly focusing on taking, if you take out of desire, stuff gets taken from you. It's an equal exchange. So what I'm getting at here, focus on giving rather than taking. So most people, the people that you see all around you, the people in your local town, your local city, the people that you know, the people that you're surrounded by, never ever get what they want. They're never ever satisfied. This is because they get stuck in the level of desire, which calibrates at 125. Remember, it's significantly less powerful than these higher energy logs, and this is why most people don't have what they want. These people, they spend their lives chasing things, and they are constantly in strife, and they're never truly satisfied. But because this level has less energy potential and it's selfish, it makes it harder to achieve the things that you want. This is because on this energy level, you focus way too much on yourself, when in actuality, you should be focusing your attention onto others and to what you can give to the world. So let me give you a really good example to be able to paint this out, because I know it's a little bit confusing. You run a restaurant. Your main focus is to just get as much money, which is desire, 125, remember, as you can. You're focusing on money. Your main focus is money, money, money all the time. You are constantly thinking about how much money you can make, how much money you can save. And as a result, this leads you to running the restaurant cheaply. You try to avoid costs as much as you possibly can. You buy cheaper decor. You do less training for your staff because it's cheaper and it's quicker. The equipment that you use is cheaper on the cheaper end. In the short term, this leads you to having more profits. So you think to yourself, the business is doing really good. Yeah, we're doing really well. But because you focus so much on your desire for money, you actually miss out on one of the most crucial aspects on focusing your attention, which is the customers. Because you're trying to go cheap on the cheap side, you actually create a worse experience for your customers. And what this results in over time is you're not going to get as much retention, meaning you're not going to be able to sustain the business. And what this is going to mean is, this is what happens when you operate from a lower level consciousness and energy log. You're going to end up losing out. But let's contrast this. If we instead use the business, use your restaurant to focus on what your customers and clients' needs and wants are, and you create an experience which supports them in their needs, in the long term, you enable yourself to make more money, as you are now operating from an energy field which isn't selfish. So let's take a look at this here. This is from Amazon. We intend to build the world's most customer-centric company. We hold as axiomatic that customers are perspective and smart. They're viewing the customers as intelligent. I've been around a lot of places where people shit on the customers, right? And that brand image follows reality and not the other way around. Our customers tell us that they choose Amazon.com and tell their friends about us because of the selection, ease of use, low prices and service we deliver. But there is no rest for the weary. I constantly remind our employees to be afraid, to wake up every morning terrified, not of our competition, but of our customers. Our customers have made our business what it is. They're the ones with whom we have a relationship, and they're the ones to whom we owe great obligation. Let's take a look at Amazon's net worth. 2.96 trillion. So This is what happens when a company focuses less on itself and more on its customers. When you are focused on giving rather than getting, you get because you're giving. So, to solidify this video, you need to serve the world and God. Take a look at the map. The reason why you're stuck is because you're focused on this victim mindset shit down here. The moment you act with courage and do things that you're scared of and move into being a better person, you will then attract that which you want. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.